there. I'm Susie Pepper Rollins. I'm the author of Learning in the Fast Lane, Teaching in the Fast Lane, the founder of Math in the Fast Lane. I'm a big believer that students need to be in the fast lane of learning, but what can we do differently to really motivate students and inspire them? The process I'm going to talk about today is acceleration. It's a real tactical way that we can approach students who have some gaps and get them to love school and love learning again. What we've done for many, many years is a process called remediation, right? It has that re in front of it. We're going to reteach a whole bunch of stuff that you didn't get. We look at your test scores, we look at your pre-assessment, and we're going to go back and reteach decimals and go back and reteach fractions and go back and teach order of operations and go back. Unfortunately, while these kids are going back, what are the other students doing? Going forward. And we can inadvertently create bigger gaps, unfortunately. Now, I'm going to talk to you about a different way to do things, and that is called acceleration, all right? It's the first chapter in Learning in the Fast Lane, but I'm going to summarize it for you right here. What acceleration is we grab those kids who are a little behind in some areas and we jumpstart them. We're going to get you started a little bit before your peers. How does it work? Let's say that you're about to teach Circumference Wednesday. In a tutoring session, and we'll talk about later when we can do these things, I'm going to work with those students on circumference first. They're going to get to learn about it first before anybody else. Isn't that cool? Then they go into class and the teacher says to their whole group, guys, we're going to be learning about circumference this week. Well, what happens to those students? They've already had a little time to play with circumference, have some string and work with circumference. They've heard the word circumference many times. We've talked about diameter. We've talked about pi. That student comes alive in class because they're like, I know something. I got my hand up. I'm excited about circumference. Now, acceleration does remediate. We're still looking at those gaps. The difference is we close gaps in context. In other words, they're going to be using it this week. They're going to be using it in their classroom. Now, I've given some math examples, but acceleration works in reading. It works in science. I used to accelerate in math and science for students. So if it's a text-based class, I'm going to look at the vocabulary. We're going to look at some pictures of crustaceans. We're going to get you ready to learn. Why does acceleration work so much better? Can really be life-changing. Because if we go back to what do we know about how students learn, we learn from prior knowledge. A teacher's talking, there's a book I'm reading, and my brain is actively saying, how do I connect this new information to what I already know? So students who are not doing well in school, many times they're lacking prior knowledge. It's one of the most fundamental things they have to learn. If you're missing prior knowledge, you can't learn really. You can't even be curious about something because you don't know enough to even be curious. So we jumpstart these students and we do attack those prereq skills, but they're just the ones you need this week. Because here's my guideline. Any sort of intervention, I need to see that student doing well in math today. How are you doing in science today? How are you doing in language arts today? That's the real mark of if these programs are working for us. Because what we were doing is teaching out of context fractions, decimals, all the long lists we had of things kids didn't know. And then they would go into their classroom and that's not what they were learning this week. They might be learning translations, dilations, and rotations, which had nothing to do with that, right? Remediation, this one, can give students the feeling of the movie The Groundhog Day. Every day the bus comes and it's a repeat of what we did before. And they don't get that fresh start. Think about some of that courseware that's out there. The students go, log in, and take a pre-assessment, right? Our students who are the most vulnerable academically are sent the farthest back. How are they ever going to catch up? They often do not. What acceleration does is give students a fresh start for today. It's a new day at school. You have another opportunity to be so successful at class today. Now, when do we do this? I've been in buildings where they carved out a little time in the morning and students all went someplace. Some went to book club and some went here and some went for acceleration with their teacher. And that teacher would kind of get them ready for the lesson today. I was in another building where it was the last 25 minutes of the day. They felt like the kids are so tired, let's start previewing for tomorrow. One really innovative principal I know who was accelerating in reading in elementary, what she did is hired a half-day teacher to come in during lunch. The teacher had lunch and learn with the students and got them ready. I did it in tutoring. I had a group of students in the morning and the afternoon and accelerated math and science. So I hope you give this some thought, because as you're looking at your test data, you're looking at what students are missing. We all have gaps. Kids don't learn that way. We don't learn on an assembly line. Just because someone thought I should learn that in the spring of fourth grade doesn't mean I got it. Right? What we're going to do is let them have a fantastic day today. Oh, by the way, on My Ed Expert, look for my picture, Susie Pepper Rollins, and I have posted a little PowerPoint with just nuts and bolts of acceleration to get you started. Thanks so much for your attention, and let me know if I can do something to help.